legends are reaching me, sharing knowledge with you and me, teaching us how to lead with Sharon Lee. Sharon Lee. Sharon Lee. On the run. Sharon Lee. Sharon Lee. On the run. Yeah. Keep on building that synergy. One month at a time, you and me. Keep on building that synergy. One month at a time, you and me. Keep on building that synergy. One month at a time, you and me. Keep on building that synergy. One month at a time, you and me.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Sharon Lee Briefing podcast show. We're in our seventh, that's right, lucky seventh episode of the Sharon Lee podcast. Those who know me, I'm Sharon Parker, aka Sharon Lee on the run, running. I've been running crazy for the last, I would say, 2 months, getting this podcast together. But I'm excited because we've had some phenomenal podcast guests, and I can't wait to introduce you to our global podcast guest today. But before I get started, everyone, y'all know what it's all about. It's about laughing, it's about leading, and it's about learning and then leading. Laughing, learning, and leading. Remember that. Share this out, guys, to your families, to your friends, to your coworkers. Everyone should be at lunch right now, especially on the Eastern Coast, okay? It is 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So share it out and say, guys, run to your laptop, run to your tablet, run to your iPhone, and turn on Sharon Lee's Briefing podcast. Go to the Leading Within with Sharon Lee YouTube channel, and you can watch it on the spot. If you're my friend on Facebook, just go into the Facebook group called Sharon Lee Briefing Podcast Show, and it's airing on that right now, live. Okay, so ground rules, guys. Please ask plenty of questions. Please leave positive comments. Please share with me and also our guests about this great topic about navigating your dreams. We're going to have a story about a person who not only just had God navigate his dreams, but he did it globally. And I'm not going to give it all away. I want to thank always our sponsors. I want to thank Only Greatness Media Production, Chris, our girl, Chris Glenn, who's always behind the scenes, creating wonderful productions, making sure that we stay on task, and just promoting all that we do here under the Sharon Lee Briefing podcast show. Y'all know why I'm doing this. I'm in my 5th year of my book called True Synergy Work, Leading Within, the 7 Defining Principles of Knowing Yourself, guys, to Birth Greatness. And I wanted to have an outlet out here to show you all how over the last 5, even 15 years that I've been connecting with people, building relationship, and trying to add value so that our next generation can benefit from who's out there that's doing wonderful things to make their life better and add value. So again, share, leave comments, also ask questions. And with that being said, I am going to bring in our guest, Mr. Braxton.
Hello, y'all. How are you?
Hello, Reggie. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
I'm excited to be doing this podcast, and the main reason why I'm excited to be doing this particular episode, because one thing I like to always, brand myself on, and that is leading from within. And everything I do is about leading from within. But people that I've connected with over my life, they may not have known much about me because I'm normally a behind the scenes shy kind of person. So we've seen one another in the hallways, in the broadcast rooms for years at HUD, but I'm always, that low key kind of person. So don't be shocking. I'm not going crazy. I'm just being in a different mindset. And that's having fun. So you know me for, just being behind the scenes, getting the job done. But what I felt like we had in common is media, not for me, media production, but more of a outreach. And the outreach is how we do it in our individual ways, is how we do it. I do it through my organization called Rosa. And you may know about that organization, but I want people to know about you, and then I'll go into that synergy connection that I believe that we synced into years ago. So please give everyone an overview of who you are and what you do.
Um, First of all, most importantly, I'm retired, and right now, just kind of living life day by day. I use the word slash because I'm a retired teacher. I taught 30 years in Newport News, Virginia. Then we moved to Venezuela, where I worked in media for a number of years. Relocated to Mexico, where I was in media and teaching for a number of years. Then ended up in DC for a number of years. So I'm more like a musician slash producer slash media person. So, and I use the word slash because we all do multiple things. No
Yes.
one does one thing, but we've always been taught to pick one. When we were kids, our parents said, "Do something that's going to make you some money. Do something
Yes.
that's going to earn you a living," which was a mistake because we all do multiple things and we can pursue those multiple things throughout our lives and make money in them and have had them as careers. So that's what I've done over the years.
Okay, so you've done multiple things. So I'm going to delve into that multiple things. Let's start with your titles. Now, everyone see on the flyer, what's your title, but I want you to talk to each title you have. I heard educator. I heard that you travel and all over the country with your music and your workshop, but you're more of a music media production professional. Tell me what a music media production professional is, please.
Um, can you put the lower third of that title so I can see what my title is?
Okay, so you media music,
I
and I
think it
know
was
you're retired, so I
clinician.
know it's been a while, and I'm not even gonna be mad at you. So I'm putting it in the comments.
Gotcha.
Media music professional. Tell me what
Okay.
that is.
Let's go back to clinician, international clinician. I was fortunate enough to travel around the world. When I say around the world, I'm talking about Africa, Indonesia, Singapore, Bali, Mexico, around the world. And a clinician is someone that takes information and you teach that in the particular setting. For an example, I would be in Africa, and I think there's some pictures that you have that I'll talk about later. There's
Okay.
information that I have and experience that I've had, and I'll take that and give a workshop or a clinic in Dar es Salaam, Africa, or something like that.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's basically what an international clinician is, someone that goes around the world and teaches about a particular subject. Now, the subject that I taught about was either music or media.
Okay.
Uh, so when you're talking about a media, music professional, um, media deals with any time you're going to output information
Okay.
via a network or over the air, whatever. It could be a CD, it could be music, it could be broadcast or television. We're on a particular media right now.
Right.
So I worked in media in a variety of situations. When I was in Venezuela, I worked on a Spanish television show,
Mm.
and the media was television. When I was in Mexico, I was working in media. When I was at HUD, I was working in media. Although they were all different, that particular media was television or broadcast.
Okay.
So, and then the other media could be music. Now, as a music professional, I'm a musician. I mean, I play music. That was my first Well, I just started out as a saxophone player. That's all I really ever wanted to be. I
Okay.
had no other dreams after that. But after going to school, that branched out into other things from being a saxophone player. One of the stories is I was 11 years old playing in a club. We started at 12 at night, and we were just about to take a break.
Okay.
And during the break, I heard these rim shots. I thought were rim shots, loud rim shots on the drum. And after we took the break, the guy just brushed by me and went into the bathroom and died.
Wow.
Well, I found out that those rim shots were not drum rim shots, they were gunshots.
Oh no.
And the guy had gotten shot. So at 11 years old, I found out that being in a band and relying on, and it was the drummer's uh, idea, because the drummer was having an affair with the guy that was in there and the shots were intended for him. I learned that I can't rely on performance. uh,
Hmm.
so I decided to go into teaching, and then teaching led into music production. So that's where the music professional and media professional come in.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I'm a baby boomer, and most people, baby boomers, we some of us know technology when it comes to hardware and software, like a computer or applications. But when it comes to, like, creating videos, being a videographer, when it comes to being a voiceover specialist, or even being in the studios, even learning the equipment or attempting to learn the equipment, that's a full-time job just with one of those media production jobs. A
Mhm.
photographer, a videographer, a voiceover specialist, and then to be in the production, on the production team, you go to college for that stuff. So did you go to college to learn all of the things that you were doing?
Yeah, it turns out that I was a band director in Newport News, high school band director. And one year, Sylvia and I, my wife, were watching the Grammys. And we noticed that everyone that won a Grammy, none of them were musicians.
Wow.
And so I said, look, the tides are turning. So after having a successful program, years before that, I had wanted to do some recording. So I started getting into the recording technology. And then I asked my principal, I said, look, I'd like to start a music technology course. This was in
Hmm.
Newport News. There was no curriculum. So I wrote a curriculum and started the very first music technology recording class in the high schools in Virginia. Well, a couple of years after that, one of my students was graduating, and he got accepted to the top technology music production school in the country, which at the time was Full Sail in Miami. Well,
Okay.
I got really jealous. And so I decided to enroll in film school. So I went to film school at Regent, and that's where I got a master's in film and TV production.
Wow. That is phenomenal. So I tell you, I want to get these comments coming in. I want to get these questions coming in. So we're gonna, at this point, we don't want to give it all away right now, but we are going to have Chris share your video production that we have as a gift for you, so that hopefully we can capture your story the way you have explained it to us. So Chris, bring it up. What did you think, Mr. Reggie, of that production? You're the guru. You're the production king
No,
guru.
no. I'm learning. I mean, I'm learning from your team. I mean, it's well done. It even I've been out of the production, less than little bit more than a year. But the technology has really changed, and what your crew and what your team is doing is really impressive. So, yeah, they're doing their job well. They're doing their job well. I'm impressed.
Wonderful. That means the world to me because one of the things that I started to mention earlier about finding out what you have in common with people and bringing out that synergy so that you can add value in society. Um, I've never gone to college for media production. I've never gone to do any type of videography work at all. I'm not even a photographer, but God blessed me with some skills. I don't know where they came from, but I was able, and I'm able to pull stuff like that production together, just to make sure that I'm telling your story accurately. So it's not enough just to have you as a guest. I want to show people and tell people how major you are and what you have done across the globe. So with that being said, what's the name of your company? Now you say you retired. I get it. You're retired from HUD, in the production department as a contractor. I get it that you may be retired from traveling around the country and doing music, but you have a business. What's the name of your business? And hopefully you're not retired from that.
Well, the company is called Desiree Multimedia, and it started out as a record label. And
Okay.
all of my initial recordings, and I used to produce CDs and music. It used to be called tapes back in the 70s and 80s, and then CDs, and then videos. It started out as a company that was just doing music. And
Okay.
Desiree came from my wife Sylvia's middle name is Denise, so it was DE. And then at the time, Ja, which is Ja is Ja, and then Reggie is last. So Desiree is the name of the company. Now it grew to so many things, and eventually it grew from a small recording studio into a multi-million dollar business
Wow.
at the end of my career. Now, when I say retired, I don't do media, I don't do television
Okay.
or editing, any of that anymore.
Okay.
Music is production. Television production was always a job, a career. uh, it was not a passion. It was something that came my way, and I was supposed to do that. Music is something that has always been what's close. So I'll continue to do music, although I continue to practice. I continue to work on my horn. I continue to play. Um,
Okay.
that's something that will always continue. But the broadcast stuff, that's done. It would be hard, even though I may do something. It would be hard to get me to do something in that area now.
All right. So let's talk about, I get all of the creative stuff that you do. I love everything that I'm hearing. I love your legacy on how have traveled the country. I love the fact that you decided to, be on this journey. But who's been on this journey with you? I want to hear about in the pictures. I see a lot of different people in the pictures. I've seen you at
Mhm.
a lot of different places in the pictures. Share some of the places and the people you built synergy with and engage with.
Um, well, the most important partner is Sylvia, my wife. We've traveled, a lot of places, but in some of the pictures, it may have been, and there are so many more stories that you can tell. But there's one guy that was put in our path that opened up the door to doing all of that traveling. I could not have done that traveling or done any of the things that I've done
Mm,
had someone not been placed with me to do that. There was a guy named Mike Powell back in the early 80s, and he traveled around the world giving workshops. And we hooked up through a mutual friend in Mexico.
okay.
And so whenever Mike would need a clinic done anywhere around the world, he would say, Reggie, I need you to do this clinic next week in Cuba, or I need you to do
Mm,
this workshop, next week in Botswana. And at the time, I was still teaching full time.
wow.
I was teaching. I was a full time band director. I was in grad school. I was playing 6 nights a week in a music theater, and also traveling. So all of these things were going on simultaneously. So I'm under the premise that it was because of Mike that or it was because of other people that all of these other opportunities opened up. Not to just my credit, because you can have a gift, but if that gift is not used or you don't know how to use it, then it'll go dormant. It
Now,
won't
can
be
you
used.
say that one more time? Say that one more time.
You can have a gift, but if that gift is not being used to help mankind, then it's being wasted. And I had a gift, but until Mike put that gift to use, it was being wasted.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? He said someone put his gift to youth. That's what it's all about. Someone recognized his skills, recognized he was committed, okay? Because it wasn't just, he was good. He could be trusted, he could be valued. And when he said he was going to do something, it was done. That is priceless. That's that leading component of the laugh, the learn, and the lead of our podcast. We're going to show another promo video, okay? And then we're going to come right back. We're going to do a couple of giveaways, and then we're going to also talk about what's your on the run story. Think about that, Mr. Braxton. Reggie? What's your on the run story? And I know you got a great one. So, Chris, bring up the production. Chris, Chris. So I'm so glad we played that again because I tell you, one of the things that I can never speak enough on is that journey. So before we go into some more discussion about your on the run story, I want to ask, for those out there who's listening now, who has questions, who have comments, I love to see your comments on the screen. Please share. For those who are going to watch this podcast later, just know that this is to be used for the next generation because, as Mr. Reggie Braxton said, if you don't use those gifts. You will not have anyone calling on you to, to implement it on any project. And I'm just paraphrasing that because people need your skills, they need your talent, but they need it for human, for mankind. As we know, there's a lot going on out in the world on so many different levels. Reggie, you are so lucky to be retired. um, Tell us where you live and what made you relocate to where you are.
Um, we're in Boca Raton, Puerto Rico, which is the southwest side of the island, the Caribbean side. We're about a 4 minute. Our house is about a 4 minute walk from the beach. We love it here.
Wow.
Um, I've often lived um, outside of the mainland. In '82, I was in Saint Martin.
Mhm.
Yeah, as we mentioned, we lived in Venezuela. We lived in Mexico. So I've always had a desire to. I feel more comfortable outside of the mainland. We still have a house in Hampton. We're there occasionally, a couple months a year. We're back and forth in Hampton, Virginia, but that's where we are right now. And at the end of the month, it gets a little warm here, so we're going to go back to Hampton at the end of August, and we'll probably stay in Hampton from August till around November. When it starts to get a little cool, we'll come back here and stay here through the winter. But it just depends. We may just say, well, hey, we need a change. Let's go to Hampton, or we. So that's basically what's going on here.
So, do you have any children, any siblings?
We have three kids. They're not kids, they're adults, and five grandchildren.
Wow. So you are really going to leave a legacy, right? You're going to leave a legacy. Are any of your children, are they into music, into production, following in your lead?
No, they're all into music, but they're not following my lead or our lead. They're creating their own lead, which is more important. Um, and so, but they're all doing well. They're
Great.
doing things that way past what I could do or even thought about doing. They've
Wow.
already taken it to the next level in everything that they're doing.
I hear you. Now, Sylvia, I just want to say to you and Sylvia, I know I'm a little older than your children, but can I be one of your children, adopted children? I want to move to Puerto Rico. I want to be able to travel, international. I can take up the helm and just do what you need me to do too. I have skills now.
Yeah.
All right, that's guys. I love this. I love this podcast. We can just let our hair down. If we got some of those type of jokes that we want to share about just life. I love it here in Maryland. I've been in Maryland my whole entire life. I have never relocated anywhere. I am thinking about it, but has never done it. So to hear your story, Reggie, is really, really inspiring. Because I tell you, for years, when I saw you at HUD, when I could tell from the moment you walked in the room how professional you are and how you really brought people's productions together. Last week we had Dr. Kene Black as
Mhm.
our podcast guest, and
Mhm.
you shared with me that you know her. Can you
Yeah.
tell me about some of the things you worked on at HUD that brought people's dreams and projects together?
Um, well, Joe Seeley. HUD was HUD was a unique opportunity because Sylvia and I were in we were actually in Belize, and
Mm,
I got this call from a lady, and she said, "I got this job at HUD. Um, are you interested?" And I told her, "I don't know, but I'll try it out for a couple of weeks, and if I like it, I'll stay. If not, I'll go back to my old job." Um, and it ended up being a 7 year stint first. And what was unique about the timing with me at HUD is that because of probably my age, I was mature. I had retired. I knew some things. The leadership at that time were pretty much my same age,
mm,
so we kind of bonded, and they began to trust me with what they were doing. And so I was always getting called to work on shows
Mm.
with the senior leadership. Now, it wasn't because I was the best at what I was doing. It was just that there was some kind of connection there,
Yeah,
mutual
yeah.
respect. And so at the end of one of the contracts, someone mentioned to me, well, Reggie, you have a good relationship. Why don't you go for the contract, the next one? I said, you must be crazy. I don't know anything about running a business and I don't want to do that. It doesn't make any sense. I like doing the hands on, but as far as running a full contract, that's not something that I want to do. Um, but around that same time, someone that did know something about contract was put in front of me.
Mm.
So, long story short, I won the contract for 5 years, and that was a whole new situation. And again, but prior to that, and to be honest with you, I didn't like the professionalism of the people that I was working with prior contracts, and
Mm.
they were always looking for shortcuts. And one day, I sat down and wrote a list, and I said, if I had the perfect job, what would it be? And then I listed on the other side of the page what frustrates me about where I am now.
Okay.
Well, less than a year, all of the things that I had on the left side of the page of who I want to work with, what I want to be, what I want to be doing in media, and the bottom of that line was that I really wanted to do a good job for HUD
Yes.
and have a great team, pay them well, let them know that they're appreciated, and everything that was on that list happened. I had a great team. I
Wow.
mean, and we treated them well. We treated them like family, and we were very successful. Now, I did not know at the time, it was my first time learning that how you can have something in your mind,
Okay.
and just by putting it out on
And,
paper
woo.
and putting it into the world, that
Yes.
you are making it come true.
Mm-hmm.
And because we won that contract, I had never had prior experience in a multi-million dollar contract like that,
Wow.
running a broadcast company like that. So, and it wasn't a matter of saying, Sharon, okay, well, Reggie, you did this and you were successful, and that's something that you can put on your plate. No, what happened was I learned that you can create reality,
Woo.
and that reality is all. I'm not going to say it's going to come true. It's already true. And let me
Woo.
give you this one story about Sylvia, my wife. When we moved to Silver Spring, Maryland, we were there for a while, and we were driving by this school in Montgomery County, where
Yes.
my Sylvia had retired from Newport News too, but she started working again in
Okay.
Montgomery County. So we were driving by this school, and she said, Reggie, I'm going to work there. Now,
Wow.
both of us had applied because Montgomery County is an excellent county to work in. I mean,
Yes.
they've got their unions, their pay is good, everything. So we both put in an application, but the very same school that Sylvia pointed to was the one that she got placed in, which is the hardest school, Blair, in Montgomery County to get placed in. So when
Wow.
she said that, she didn't say it as well. Maybe I want to work there, or maybe I might. She said it as if it was already a reality,
I love
and
it.
it was. So during that process, that's how we learn about the different stages of reality and consciousness, and how
Mm.
it's already there for us.
You got me steaming over here. I'm steaming. My glasses all steaming up. I'm like, what? He done tapped into something, everybody. I mean, I tell you, you are on fire right now, and you are so true. And that's the reason why I wrote my book, True
Mhm.
Synergy Work, Leading Within, the 7 defining principles of knowing yourself to birth greatness. True synergy is what it is. True synergy is connecting, making that download connection. If you're able to write it, and if you're able to, be disciplined, walk that walk, and call out what you want, things come through. This, I don't think it's a coincidence that for God knows 40 years I didn't have a voice. And when I decided that I wanted to write my book 5 years ago, that things would just start, creativity would just start birthing out of me. This podcast show is one of those creativities, but it's in direct alignment with what you're saying, Reggie. And what's so
Mhm.
powerful about this is that I always promote myself as a Power Five person because of my story. I can only speak to my story.
Mhm.
And five in 1960, 8, I was 5 years old. And that's the same year Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. And I asked God, why was it, people of color wasn't liked by, others. And then he went to, making me figure it out. So, 40 years later, it's like, you all are great. People of color are great. You got so many gifts. You got so many jewels. And sometimes people can be afraid of that because you got that direct download. You got that direct download. Only thing you have to do is ask for it, and then invest your time in it. Be committed to education. Be committed to being professional and positive and productive citizens. Once you commit to that, the universe opens up to you, and that's what the book is about. So when you got this multi-million-dollar contract, what made me connect with you more was how long you were in it. You had it for 5 years. It was a 5 year
Mhm.
contract. And that's that power of five element that I always like to bring through, when I'm talking to people on different platforms. So y'all heard it from here. Power of five is still in effect, and y'all need to find y'all power number so that you can really, really have those downloads from God. Now, I'm going to also have Chris play that video. And then when we come back, we're going to delve into that on the run story. That's going to be another, powerful message from Reggie. So, all right, Chris, bring it in. Yeah, so I tell you, Reggie, as I was watching even that video, I saw some things. I don't know if you were back there in 2015, but I saw a flyer
Yeah.
where we put on in 2015, and you were behind the scenes making that
Yeah.
production happen. And
Yeah.
until we had you on the show right now, I would have forgotten about it. But that's something that we put into production. So,
Yeah.
guys, I hope you all enjoyed that presentation. So, I'm going to ask those who have a comment or a question. Let me know what's that power number that I keep on talking about. Let me know you're out there and I'm asking questions and making comments. So, what's that power number that we always like to talk about? So while we're waiting for those, I'm going to ask you, Reggie, what is your power? No, what is your on the run story? I'll start there first, and then I'll ask you if you got a power number. What's your on the run story?
Okay. I don't have one. Let
Oh,
me
yes,
tell you why.
you
Let me. Well, if you want to, and it's how you want to look at it, and I guess I just phrase it differently. So if I tell you, you could consider it an on the run story, but the word run there brings in a little bit of stress to me
do. Okay.
because I don't run. um, Everything is relaxed and peaceful,
Mm,
with me. um, and just allow. So instead of, when you think about running, I think about, using a lot of energy. I think about pursuing something. I don't pursue anything. I
mm.
allow things to come to me and to us. And when you're using the word synergy, it's so important because you're implying that we are all connected,
That's
and
right.
we are all connected. We don't People don't want us to know that, they don't want to teach that, but we are all connected to everything. So the plant that you have, it wants to hear from you in order to grow. That's
Yes.
what helps to grow. We want to hear from the plant, but we have to listen to it. And
Yes.
so there is nothing here amongst us that, if we don't just sit back and listen, it's going to give us the advice, the knowledge, or what it is that we need to have. But we just have to sit back and allow it to happen.
Well,
So that is my on the run story. You
and I
just sit
love
back
it.
and
And
wait and allow things to happen to you.
sit back and wait, and a lot of things will happen to you. I like
Well,
that.
well, wait a minute, but you can't just wait, but you have to have a frame of mind and a conscious opening of your mind so that when it does happen, you realize it. Because a lot
Wow.
of people don't realize what's
Woo.
happening because their mind is so cluttered with stuff and they're not hearing it, and you
I, I,
miss it.
again, I'm bursting over here. I'm bursting over here. I cannot keep myself together because you are so on point. Um, what I also liked about what you and I shared before the show today was that the navigation component.
Yeah,
You were
yeah,
sharing with me how one of the reasons why you did not consider it on the run story because you allowed God to navigate your journey, to get navigate your whatever came to mind that you felt like you wanted to do. You let that energy navigate. Talk more about that.
yeah. The It's easy to know and to say, okay, I want to be this, or I want to do this, or I want to be a millionaire, or I want to be a successful playwright, or I want to be a lawyer, or whatever it is that you think you want to be. It may not be in your cards to be that. You may be needed in humanity for something else. And if you're pursuing something that you're not supposed to be doing, then you're not going to be successful at it, or it's going to just take a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the biggest mistakes that I made, in my generation coming up, because my parents told me, number one, do something that you're going to be able to find a job.
Yes.
And it just so happens that what I found a job with is what I was good at. But a lot of people aren't good at what they're looking to find a job at. So
Mm.
what I would tell a person first, before you decide what you want to be, you need to decide who you are.
Yeah. Ooh,
And
whoop,
then
whoop.
once you find out who you are, And by listening to the past, the present, whatever, whoever you are listening to, they
Yes.
will tell you, if you just listen, what it is that you're supposed to be doing. Now, once you align that with humanity, you're going to be successful and you're going to be rich.
Oh
You're
my
going to be
God.
wealthy. And
Oh,
wealth doesn't necessarily mean money. Wealth for some people is peace.
whew. You have said a mouthful. I just can't stop just thanking God enough about what you're saying because I feel that way. I mean, yes, I got 35 years in the government. Yes, I've done some things in my life that I'm happy that I took. I did it because I needed to survive. I got that, but I could have easily had not tapped into what I'm doing now. Easy could have not tapped into it, but because I did tap into it or whatever, it allowed me to really start birthing what I'm good at, what I'm passionate about. And I feel so fulfilled. I feel like a millionaire today. I mean, I have the millionaire pocket, but I feel like it because I'm giving back. I'm showing the next generation. Reggie, we just had a graduation class yesterday where for about a good 7 weeks, we were teaching the next generation, we call it the Gen Zs, how to find their voice, tap into their creativity, doing exactly what we're doing, creating productions, flyers, collages, doing video promos, and they did it. When they came in, they weren't confident. They didn't want to speak up. They didn't want to, get on screen and share who they were. They always blocked out their face. I only saw their forehead. But after 6 or 7 weeks in training them, yesterday you would have thought they were pros because they had the confidence had built up only because they started working on the assignment. They worked on the assignment. Each assignment that God had blessed me to learn within myself, I transferred it into them. And they hosted the event. They created the flyers. They did the video promo. And when I tell you, for those especially who has not seen my newsletter yet, check out that newsletter because that newsletter shows the rundown. Those babies knocked it out of the park, and they are only 18, 19, and 20. But they are tapping into that source now. So I know each one of them are going to succeed and they're going to be rich, even if it's not funds, because they understand now what's inside of them. And that's the reason for the podcast. That's the reason for bringing people like you on to be able to truly, have people work into their gift and birthing those gifts. So I want to ask you a question.
Hmm.
Now, you got 4 CDs out there.
Hmm.
Okay. I heard you like it's jazz that you like, right? The saxophone you like to play. Tell me about what your 4 CDs are about.
Um, the first a lot of them aren't even in print. So let me talk about the big band project. In for Without delving into a lot of stuff, the big band project was um, written. I wrote all of the music for a large band, and they were gospel tunes. Okay, and so the fortunate thing about that is that we were living in Hampton, and I was teaching at the time, so I had access to all of the military musicians. So they would come
Mm,
over to the house, and we would do this project. The next project, I believe, was Viaje, which was done in Venezuela. And the guys in Venezuela, I mean, we lived in Caracas, and
okay.
Caracas is Spanish television breaks into two categories, three categories.
Okay.
If it's done in Spain for those that are considered intelligent Spanish people, it's done because of the language and their diction. It's
Okay.
done in Mexico if it's a peasant type of show or silly
Mm,
comedy. They use Mexicans. Well, if they want professionals and so-called good-looking people, they do all of the Spanish shows in Venezuela, and that's where I was.
wow.
Now, the top actors, musicians, took me under their wings when I was there, and they helped me with, the Viaje project. And Viaje means voyage,
Okay.
and they helped me make all of the music. You know, I can remember I did a Frankie Beverly tune on that CD, and they had never heard of Frankie Beverly. So here I am trying to explain to them, and because they didn't speak English, I was speaking Spanish, but I was just learning. I had to explain to them about line dancing on Soul Train and how
Okay.
Frankie Beverly's music, the what it portrayed, the fun, the joy, what that represented. So they got that because they were great musicians. But then near the end of the song, they turned the whole song around into a Latin groove that I never would have been able to imagine or never would have been able to do by myself.
Wow.
And the project just turned into a whole new realm. And then we finished that project with some musicians that were in Cuba.
Okay.
Now, the next project I did was Summation, and that was a project, and I call that Summation because summation is the sum of all things, and
Mm,
it was the sum of all things that had been shared with me with other musicians while I was living in DC, working with guys in Cuba. So it wasn't a project of just me, but it was a documentation of all of the people that had helped me along the way musically. And that's how that project ended up. Actually, one of the projects I had done for Joe on one of his projects, and I
really?
did it, which is a tune called "For You." Joe was an incredible writer. I loved Joe's writing. We would argue for hours on the direction that I was taking his music, but I redid a piece of his, and it turned out to be one of the prettiest pieces I've ever done. So
Wow.
all of the music that I've done on CD, even though it was under my name, all of the musicians deserve the credit. I didn't produce it. There's a guy, that friend of mine's a lifelong friend named Shelton Parson, who's still a musician. He produced it. He told me what to do, what to play, how to play it, and all of those kind of things. So again, it involves a synergy, and you have to. You can never get away from that word. I don't use it much. I use a different word called consciousness, which is the same thing, in
Mhm.
that you can not do anything well if you're going to be in a box and not include others. And
Woo!
I'll use this phrase and then I'll let it go. Passion. Passion is a gift. It's when you are using something that you have been given, which is a gift,
Yes. Yes.
and you're using that for humanity. And
Yes.
if by you using it for humanity instead of the self, you are going to be rewarded.
Oh, yes, you are. Woo.
Now, if you're doing it for money, so we have to find out what that gift is and use it for humanity.
Sir Charles is on, and he put a comment earlier. Find your purpose, or what? Okay, he
Right.
says music. Right. He said the one he put earlier was find your pleasure, find your passion, and find your purpose. He when I first met Sir Charles, that's what he was promoting on a lot of his different platforms. And I got to tell you, I fell in love with it because it was a natural connection that I thought was a download from God. So when I saw that phrase, I'm like, you can't ever go wrong with that if you stay in that element. And if you understand what staying in that element means, and you hit it on the head, you gotta have humanity in mind. 24/7. You got to be able to understand, you got to work with people that's able to have that synergy to make things happen, but especially when you truly find your purpose. Okay, you find that, I believe you find that purpose first, and then then you go to the day going passion, and then the pleasure comes at the end. That's what I think, because if you don't know why you were born, if you, like you said earlier, if you don't, you have to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, and you don't know why you were born, it's going to be a little challenging to really tap into one source, because some people can have so much stuff going on until it's like I don't know the right phrase to put it back, but and I can't even think of how to really, really put it, but it's almost like playing, musical chairs. If I sit here, maybe I win. If I don't sit here, I'll wind up losing out. But I think my point just is understand who you are, understand whose you are, where you came from, and what gifts are already in you, and then find out what are some of the ills in the world and how can you improve that. Don't continue, people, to set back and let others control the world and bringing it down. Be a resource so that you can change the negativity that's currently happening in the world. There's too much negativity that's changing the elements of our human race. And so many people who have gifts who can turn that energy around, they're not utilizing it. And I don't want to preach, but I'm just saying, y'all, let's lead out here by tapping into your gifts and turning this thing around. And Charles said the art can be used. That's right. Exactly. World clue. Yeah, exactly. So, Reggie, we're going to play your video again because I want people to, again, to see your journey, see your legacy. And after that, we're going to ask you if you could share how people can connect with you again. What's your next upcoming project? That would be something that we would love to get from you. So, Chris, if you could play his video again, please. All right, I want to thank you, Reggie, for I'm telling you, this has been a fabulous podcast interview. You have taught us so much. We didn't hear the chickens in the background, so you didn't make us laugh a lot.
Okay, they were just there. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear him, but for those who just chiming in, Reggie and his wonderful wife, they're in Puerto Rico. They're living the retired life. I want to thank Sylvia, your wife, for allowing us to take even your retirement time away from you to share some true wisdom, true synergy connection, true legacy connection, true download and navigating our dreams connection with us today. So with that being said, Reggie, how does people connect with you and learn more about what your next project is going to be? Because even though you're retired, you're not finished. You got more work to do.
Right now, I don't have any projects on the book because this is a time of reevaluating. Um, I'm working on a new concept of playing. All of the music that I've done before, I'm not going to do any of that type of music again. And I'm not sure what I'm going to be working on next. And it'll come to me. But in
Okay,
the
well,
meantime, I'm working on a new concept of playing and writing and learning. And when I have something to say, I'll put it out there. But
Well,
in the
we want to be
meantime,
the
I'm just going to be, just relaxing, taking it easy, working inside and trying to figure some stuff out.
well,
I can always be. I I used to have websites. I used to have a Desiree website for my company. I also used to have a ReggieBraxton.com website. I disbanded both of those because that season. And Sylvia and I say this: we're in the last third part of our lives, and we don't know what that is going to entail. We know it's going to be good. We know we're going to be healthy. We're going to be prosperous. We're going to enjoy life, but we don't know what that is. So we're just waiting to see what comes to us. We know we're going to be doing some traveling again. I know I will be back playing. I know I will be back doing a lot of things. I just don't know what that is, and that's the joy of this time of my life. I don't have to decide.
there
You
you go.
know, I can just let it come to me.
Well, I tell you
So
what, I'm excited that you have been our guest today. You've put in the time, 30 years in international travel, 30 years in teaching, all of that collectively has really showed your true commitment to respecting the downloads that came to you.
yeah.
You did it in elegance. You did it in excellence. You did it in commitment. You did it, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to be a podcast guest. And that's what we're looking for as we go forward. Is leading from within, as I've written in my book, is not about talk. It's about actions. And you have 30 years in doing that. You and your wife. And I just want to salute you all. For those who were going to watch this podcast,
Well, actually, it's 30 plus because we
hello. Yes.
you're talking about 40. We retired in 2004. It was 30 years of
Why
teaching.
are you serious?
Yeah. Then after that, and I know it's time to go, but after that journey, we picked three more journeys after
Well,
the 30 years of retiring.
well, if this is my podcast, so it's never time to go. So what are those three journeys are you talking about?
Well, remember the first journey was us retiring from teaching in 2004. We were in Newport News, Virginia. We retired then. Then we left. We could have stayed because we were young enough, and all of the people that we were working around, they're saying, and I was telling them I was going to move, stop teaching and move to Venezuela and work. They said, you've got to be crazy. You could stay here until you're 65 and
Wow.
still teach. Why are you giving up that stability to go somewhere where you don't know anything about?
Mm,
And so, but we decided to end that time because that's when our youngest son graduated from high school. He had got accepted to the Air Force Academy. So we didn't have anything tying us to staying. So we left. So that was one chapter.
okay.
Then Venezuela was another chapter, and then Mexico was another chapter, and then
Wow.
HUD was a fourth chapter. So that was like the fourth retirement.
Wow.
But retirement for us just means the end of a stage.
Mm,
Now we're into a new stage. We don't know what it's going to entitle, and we don't really care because we can figure it out.
I love it. Well, guess what?
That's the exciting part.
I don't know. I don't know how to say this, and I hope I don't come across saying being envy, but I don't know why I feel envy of that. I don't know why, because I'm thinking you're still young. You and your wife are still young. Y'all are like babies, and you're retired, and
Yeah.
you have a legacy now that you can just sit back and say, "Hey, God, whatever you want me to do at my next level, I'm gonna just be sitting here waiting because you put the work in, and you put the work in early in your life. And if that message alone can get to the next generation, please do not waste time.
Mhm.
Understand those downloads from God. Don't let anyone or anybody deter you, no matter how hard they try, psychologically, emotionally, mentally. Do not let them deter you from what your purpose is in life. As Charles said, find your pleasure, find your passion, find your purpose. And when you work to make that happen, it's unlimited. The world is unlimited and the universe is unlimited because it'll be just constant download. So I'm excited, guys. I can talk about this all day, Reggie. I appreciate you as being a guest. I want to say in closing, guys, always follow my podcast on the Leading Within with Sharon Lee on YouTube. I'm on Instagram at Sharon underscore, and I'll put this in the chat, Sharon underscore leading underscore within on Instagram. And then also, I want to share that, I am so blessed that I'm able to be here in 2022. We are still here, and we need to be thankful just because of that, with all that's gone on in the world. But I'm extra excited because I'm here in 2022, where I'm 5 years into my book. And I've been living in that book for the last 5 years since I wrote it. And that's in alignment with the synergy component. I wrote about it. I did a lot of things I already wrote about, but I'm doing more because I understand that synergy element. And I just want to thank the Banneker Douglas Museum in Annapolis for giving me the opportunity to not only do my 5th annual book celebration on the 23rd of July there. I want to thank the Calvert County Historical Society, where I'm from, who allowed me to come back and share my book with my family and share history and legacy with some of my next generation who don't even know a lot about their family. And most importantly, I just want to thank the community at large who has worked with me behind the scenes to help me. As Reggie said, you can't do it alone. You need to have connections with people to make your dreams come true. So, Cashel, thank you for all you do with your fitness line. Thanks for being a part of my project management program. Yes, the mentoring is key. It's key, and it gotta keep going. We have to mentor the next generation, today's professionals, and also our elders 24/7 to have them hear this kind of message. I know I went a little bit over, but like I said, it's the Sharon Lee Briefing podcast show, and that's what we do because Sharon Lee is on the run, but we're running to greatness. We're not running from greatness. Okay, we're running to it. Reggie, Sylvia, Chris from the Greatness Only Media Production, and forgive me if I'm screwing that up. Put it in the chat, or so that people can get your get it down right. But thank you for all that you do behind the scenes, Chris. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you, Sir Charles, for being here, making comments. Thank you, Cashel, for being here, making comments. Definitely remember, guys. Yes, the Only Greatness Media Production. Thank you, guys. Blame it on the head, not the heart, because I'm just excited about this wonderful podcast. Reggie, you're awesome. We look forward to the next journey.
Isn't it odd that Chris went to Blair, went to Hampton University, which is our house in Hampton is 15 minutes away from Hampton University, and went to Full Sail.
No, that's not odd. That's not odd. That's synergy.
That's synergy. That's what I was going to say.
That's
There's
synergy.
a connection there.
That's the reason why you're on this podcast, because look, once we go on the green screen, we're going to have that conversation behind the scenes, guys, but we can't give it all right here online. So we're having behind the scenes.
But you did. They did a great job on the great work here. Honestly, really professional work.
That means the world coming from you. That means the world coming from you. Guys, y'all have a great Friday. Come back next Friday. We're going to have a guest. I'm going to share the person later. But Reggie, you have blessed our platform and you have made my day. Have a great weekend. And Reggie, you stay behind the scenes. We want to keep you in the green room.
Okay.
Synergy, energy, living legends are reaching me. Sharing knowledge with you and me, teaching us how to lead with Sharon Lee. Sharon Lee, Sharon Lee, on the run. Sharon Lee, Sharon Lee, on the run. Yeah.
Keep on building that synergy. One month at a time, you and me. Keep on building that synergy. One month at a time, you